Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this time space continuum. I hope that this transmission finds you well. Anyway, this is another broadcast of Astrolunachic's Guide to the Universe, the weekly pop-up version. I did my long ass podcast yesterday. So it looks like that's what I'm going to be doing weekly. Um, Sort of a week overview on Sunday. And then I'll just do my little pop-ups during the week as time permits. And the pop-ups will be live probably. Yeah, the pop-ups will be live. Yesterday I pre-recorded my show just because it was just more convenient for my schedule to do so. And a few people asked me, am I not going live anymore? And I am. I want to let everyone know that that's definitely something, that's part of why I wanted to do the weekly show, to be able to do it live and interact with people and take calls, which I have done. Now, if you are not aware, if you go back to look for any of my videos, just know that the live streams show up under the live tab. So if you go to my channel, there are, different choices, let's say, and ways to find the video. Let me see if I can find it, just so I can know what I'm talking about. So basically, if you go to the channel, you see there's an archive of videos. Okay, there's home, videos, shorts, which I don't do, live, playlist, etc. So the pre-recorded stuff, because I was asked this also, I can't find your shows. Well, you can find them, the live ones, because I've been doing live every week, except last week I didn't do a show. So the lives are under the live tab, and videos which are pre-recorded, which would have been yesterday's show. So yesterday's show, ALC, Astrolunachic 8/20/23, that's under latest, under my videos tab, but the live streams will always be under live. I know it's confusing. When YouTube changed all of this a while back, I got really confused. I'm like, where's everybody's freaking videos? So anyway, that's what's up. And hey, what is up, Nish? Where the hell have you been? Wow. What's up? I have not seen your ass in so long. Yeah, I was on Nish's show a while back in December, and I don't know what happened to that episode, girl. I don't know. I think I got lost on the cutting room floor. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. That's super cool. And yeah, so back to Monday. Where are we at? I like to triangulate and find out, where we're at in terms of the stars, what the hell is going on in the heavens, and what is up your anus. Nish, that's fine. You don't have to send me the MP3. I really hate listening to my shows over again. I just wanted something to share like with my audience. That's all. But I mean, it's way after the fact. So who cares what I said in December, right? I don't like to go back and see, like, what did I say? What did I say was going to happen? I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, we're all still here, aren't we? who knows for how much longer we'll all be on Twitter. I'm so disappointed. I really am. Uh, the Elon is planning on making everyone scan their freaking faces, blah, and hand in their IDs. No thanks. I mean, I like Twitter and I really don't want to go to the alternatives because, to be honest, if I'm honest, I don't want the homogenized, 24/7 conservative news, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get it. I'm already there. Like, that is my, like, leaning towards, whatever. People would call me that, I guess. But I'm very liberal in some ways. And I like a well-balanced, informative feed, and I don't mind the fighting. I'm not somebody who needs to be isolated, and be around my own people. I like to observe the others, those who are not like me. I really do like people who are not like me, as long as they're respectful. But anyway, speaking of which, going along and getting along, the moon is in Libra today, and it is conjunct the South Node. And so, yeah, we know the South Node as being like loss and release and the past and that type of thing. Um, Weirdly enough, I've been talking about this a few times on the show. I have my South Node in Libra and my North Node in Aries. And I don't know. I mean, I'm having a nodal return. I talked about that. I have Narcissus, the asteroid, on my South Node. Fun, fun, fun. And that happens to be where Narcissus is right now. It's a few degrees off. The South Node is moving away from asteroid Narcissus. So that's, I guess, a good thing. The asteroid itself retrograded. It went into Scorpio for a bit, and then it retrograded back into Libra, which is like maybe the prettier face of narcissism, whereas I think Scorpio narcissism would be much more nefarious, I guess, but it also represents us, looking at our own narcissism, perhaps. It's a scale, it's a sliding scale, a spectrum, and we're not all just the victims of narcissists. Trust me. I've known a few people who are very well versed in their narcissistic abuse who have shown their narcissistic ass to me too. So, you know what? I'm sure I have it too. I do. I'll own that. Like, I know when I'm being narcissistic. But anyway, so there's that going on. I want to look at what else, what other asteroids are happening in Libra. I like to look at mainly I look at the asteroids when they're affecting planets or when the moon is going through a particular sign. I like to look at what asteroids we're dealing with. So I won't go too deep into them. And if it strikes a chord for anyone, you can do the research on your own. I know that people have their own personal meanings around specific archetypes and myths. So no need for me to really go into it today. So, all right, yeah, so the moon is at 26 degrees right now, and at 25 degrees of Libra is Hopi, asteroid Hopi. Then we have Cassandra at 28, Elatus at 28, and Narcissus is at 29, and Haumea 29 also, and Asclepius is at 29 and some change. So, I mean, that's good news. We're talking about some healing here. I always hold out hope for people who are narcissists. I mean, there are those who are too far gone, but I know from personal experience that having to confront someone with their narcissism and hitting them over the head with it, because of course they are a family member. They are a family member. And it's like, all right, we're stuck in this. I need you to see this. See it. Please see it. And by the grace of God, they did. And things have changed in the relationship because otherwise, if they didn't, I would have had to just, unfortunately, um, really detach myself from it. So, speaking of detachment, I think that's a good South Node theme. Detaching from relationships, from people, because the South Node is Libra, is ruled by um, Venus. Okay, we just had the Venus Sun conjunction, which is a Venus star point as Venus is in retrograde. And if you're interested in that concept in astrology, is a fascinating study. I will tell you that I am not that well versed in it, but I do understand that it is a pivotal time for us. And it's much ado about relationships. I saw the I saw the signs from from the retrograde station of Venus at 28 or so, I believe, of Leo, right? And making a sextile to the South Node and a trine to the North Node, really pursuing our own um, healthy ego identity, trying to define ourselves and put ourselves out there perhaps in a different way. I talked a lot about the imposter syndrome and what that looks like when somebody is really trying to sell themselves too hard or acting like they are very self confident when they're really not. So the shadow side was coming out with Venus, especially because we have Black Moon Lilith, and the new moon was conjunct Black Moon Lilith. So there's a big shadow thing that is it's being exposed so that it can be integrated. It's coming up in relationships. We're seeing our own stuff, hopefully, if we are self aware. And how it is affecting our relationships. I know a lot of my friends who are on social media, including myself, who are very creative and highly intuitive and just super fucking smart and edgy, and they got shit going on. But the visibility isn't there necessarily, or, sometimes we look at our reach and we think, God, I'm being put in the corner, don't, nobody puts baby in a corner. And there's been a lot of frustration. I've felt it, because the whole rebranding thing came up early in the Venus retrograde. And I am talking about relationships, as I said I would yesterday on the show. I was like, Monday, I'm going to talk about relationships because the moon is in Libra. I will go into the deep, icky, sticky woo tomorrow and maybe Wednesday. I don't know. I got something going on that day. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it, but I wanted to save that stuff for the moon in Scorpio. Hell yeah. I do. So our our ego, our identity, tied in with our creativity, our ability to generate, our personal magnetism, our chi energy, and what we have to offer and what we have to put out there as it relates to or is affected by, I should say, by our relationships. You know, who's in our corner? Who is acknowledging us? Who are we feeling bolstered by? Versus who do we feel is ignoring us? Because, Leo hates to be ignored. It really needs um, that admiration, you know? And it's not just the ego admiration. Humans have a need to create something, to be shared with other people, because it feels good to know that you're giving back, that you're giving joy to others through your creations. It's something that is inherent in the personality and in the consciousness that we are here to create. What we create is another, it's another thing. But it sucks when you feel like you have something to contribute that would benefit other people and you're just not being seen or appreciated, and or being blocked or throttled when it comes to social media. It's just blah. It's just an icky feeling. And I'm convinced that I'm shadow banned across the board from the early days of Facebook, when I was the only person in my friend group until I found some like minds who was sharing certain material, and I don't know, either either it was just kind of like a, yeah, we don't know what to do with that, so we're just going to leave her alone, or being throttled. I don't know, but I've always felt invisible on social media, and I know how it is. Sometimes you have followers that they see your stuff, but if they don't connect with it, or they don't want to seem too thirsty, or I can't like that because then my friends will see it. Who cares? I don't know, for whatever reason. But there's this whole thing going on with the Venus retrograde that I've seen with the beginning of the retrograde, right? That's one phase of it because Venus was still in evening star. Very different energy, how Venus expresses herself. It's softer, more gentle. Um, but then you have the conjunction of the Sun and Venus retrograde. What comes after that is very different. So, whereas it might have been a little bit more shy and subtle, maybe, perhaps, not everybody's experience, it will be the reverse, the exact mirror opposite after the conjunction. So the before and the after. You know, we might have been nice about things in our relationship before the conjunction, but after the conjunction, the gloves are off, because then Venus starts to separate from the Sun slowly, slowly, slowly. Where she's at right now, she should be visible pretty soon. Um, Astrologers differ in the degree, the amount of separation between the sun and the planet as to when it is visible. And so she is rising in the morning in the east before the sun. This is her morning star, Lucifer phase. Lucifer means light bringer. Don't get your panties in a wad. So we are, in a sense, in our relationships, in our self-worth and value in Leo, ready to come out of the chrysalis after the first part of the journey, and then sitting with it and being infused by the sun through shining through Venus, you could say, as they become, when they're conjunct, they are indistinguishable from one another. So our essence, our soul, and who we are and what we're here for was fused with our values, our love, our ability to give and receive love, our heart chakra. um, so that we cannot be separated from our values. Our values are intrinsic to who we are. It's who we are. It's what we're here to be. It's what we're here to do. So as she separates, we can become more visible too. And Morningstar Venus was known in ancient astrology as a warrior. You know, it's not the goddess of love, it's the goddess of war. But what are we going to war for? What are we what are we willing to go to war for, and what are we, what values are we fighting for if not for our own? So, I've talked a lot about Venus now because she is the ruler of the South Node, where the moon is right now. And we'll talk a little bit about the stars in the constellation. Um, so the moon at 26 degrees or so of Libra conjunct the South Node is touching upon the star Spica at 23 degrees of Libra. Spica and Arcturus. So Spica is in Virgo. And I won't get into why that is, but just know that we have the tropical sign because our orientation in the not the universe, but like the cosmos and where we are aligned has moved. So we're going by the tropical when we're talking about the astrological placements. At least I am, because I do tropical Western. But the stars, with the actual position, which is what Vedic looks at, Vedic astrology, sidereal, is based on the stars. So where the moon is positioned and the stars that it is contacting, one of which is Spica, is in Virgo, the Virgin. So as you can see from my backdrop here on the live stream, I've chosen the very beautiful astrological art depicting the stars in Virgo. So Spica is a star in that is representative of the sprig of wheat in the hand of the Virgin. So, in a sense, we think of the harvest. The sign of Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Some will talk about a Chiron rulership, but it's also associated with the goddess Ceres, which is considered to be the goddess of the grain and the harvest. So you can see in the picture, she is holding the wheat. So, yes, let's see. What else can we talk about with this? Virgo, the Virgin, and I thought it was also appropriate as the sun is about to move into the sign of Virgo, and it's indicating the beginning of the harvest, the season of harvest. So the star Spica specifically, I'm sorry, I'm looking through on the website Constellation of Words. It goes through the constellations and the meanings of the stars and a lot of the etymology. So to me, this is quite fascinating. But I just wanted to look and see if there was anything that I wanted to point out about Spica at 23, 24 degrees of Libra. I also look at the declination because some of these stars are like way high northern declinations, so they won't ever really affect or be well, not really conjunct, but by degree they would be conjunct, but by declination they're pretty far off, so they're not that strongly felt. But the declination of Spica is about 11 degrees southern declination. So let's see. But if you find mythology of the stars fascinating, definitely check out constellationofwords.com. You can look it up by constellation. You can look at the meanings of the constellation themselves and then find what stars are what stars fall in that constellation. So let's see. Astrological influences of the star Spica. And some of the stars will, some of the stars have more significance than others and strong influence, and so they will on the website. Certain stars will be, they'll have a kind of what it means if it's conjunct a certain planet and whatnot. So let's see, with the moon, gain through inventions, success, wealth, and honor from Mercury, Venus, or Jupiter people. Mercury, Venus, or Jupiter people. So that means Mercury, Gemini and Virgo people. Venus, you've got Taurus or Libran people, or Jupiterian people. So that would be Sagittarians. So that's kind of interesting. And the other star was Arcturus, which is in the constellation Boots, the Bear Warden, also a very relevant star because the declination is 19 north. So the declination, if you don't know, there's an invisible line path across the sky from east to west where the planets travel and the sun. And the planets, also the sun, I mean, it's most obvious when you look at the sun or the moon, whether they are higher or lower in declination. There's north and south of that invisible line. So for us in the northern hemisphere during the summer months, the sun is very high in declination and very strong. And then in winter, it goes below the ecliptic, which is the imaginary line, and goes into southern declination, and it's colder, it's weaker. Anyway, so 20 degrees is within that path. So there's something called out of bounds, which is when a planet goes north or south by about, I think it's like 23.5 degrees. The moon does this every month. It goes out of bounds north and south, and you can see a difference in how the moon functions or how the planets function in general when they are in a northern versus a southern declination. Things can go like really out of hand. I mean, just take the moon in general to use as an example. Emotions can be super extra, very emotional, not it's very difficult to restrain when the moon is very far out of bounds to the north. So that's just an example. So back to Arcturus in Boots. Boots is the bear warden. And Boots, let's see, Arcturus is a golden red star situated on the left T of the herdsman, the fourth brightest star in the sky. The herdsman is one way that it is Boots' reference. It's also the bear warden because it is the keeper of the great bear. And let's see what else we can say about boots. I mean, Arcturus specifically. Um, mhm. Okay, so according to E.W. Bullinger, author of The Witness of the Stars, a biblical interpreter of the constellations, astrotheology, anyone? The ancient Egyptians called boots Smat, which means one who rules, subdues, and governs. They also called him Bao, which means also the coming one. Let's see. The star Arcturus by Isidore of Seville. Arcturophylax, i.e., the bear keeper, is so named because it follows Arctos, that is, the great bear, Ursa Major. People have also called this constellation Boots because it is attached to the Wain, Wain, Ursa Major. It is a very noticeable sign with its many stars, one of which is Arcturus. Arcturus is a star located in the sign of Boots beyond the tail of the Great Bear. For this reason, it is called Arcturus, as if it were the Greek Arctos Aura, i.e., the tail of the bear, because it is located next to the heart of Boots. It rises in the season of autumn. So when we hear that, we hear, okay, we just had Sirius rising. What does that mean? So when the star itself rises with the sun, when it is conjunct the sun, that is the beginning of the rising of that star, it becomes more powerful as the sun moves away from it, as it separates. So in the season of autumn would be when the sun is conjunct the star Arcturus. So when the sun is located about 24, 25 degrees of Libra, and then thereafter begins to separate, that is called the heliacal, 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 I can't, heliacal rising of the star. So in the summer, in July into August, we have the rising of Sirius, when things get serious and it gets hot. And that's when the Nile was river, marking of the beginning of the rising of the Nile and their planting season in Egypt. But don't forget, that was another time and place. It doesn't necessarily apply to us. The rising of Sirius. Sirius is noted for its warlike and disastrous and hot and contentious nature. So, when everybody goes into the 8-8 Lion's Gate, and I don't know, I just, you need to really look at what the energy of those stars are before you go and start manifesting shit. Sorry, just my opinion. Anyway, so in terms of nakshatras, which are Hindu moon mansions, Arcturus is the 13th nakshatra, Savati, the good goer, or perhaps sword, but figured as a coral bead, gem, or pearl, and known there also as Nishtya, outcast, possibly from its remote northern situation far outside the zodiac, whence it's not that far, is it really? Well, maybe the nakshatra is. Whence, from its brilliancy, was arbitrarily taken to complete the series of Hindu asterisms from Allen Star Names. Robson, another astrologer who wrote great things on the fixed stars, says the regent, Vayu, the god of the wind, Did I read that wrong? It was arbitrarily taken to complete the series of Hindu asterisms. Okay, Robson says the regent, Vayu, the god of the wind. All right, that's not a complete sentence. Ruled by the dragon's head, also known as the North Node. Huh. So the South Node is here on this star, but this star is ruled by the North Node. So is that not a recycling or a cycling of the energy in terms of the dragon's head and the dragon's tail, and the North Node and the South Node? North Node being output and the South Node being input from the past, we could say, where we're coming from as where we're going. So in a sense, where we came from and the South Node and what we are releasing has something to do with North Node energy in terms of what we may have been pursuing in the past. So I look at the nodes as sort of like consumption, where the South Node is what we have consumed, or no, the North Node is what we're consuming, and then the South Node is what we're excreting, because the South Node is release or loss. It's where we came from, and we can get stuck there because we feel comfortable in the South Node. However, it comes a time to move on, and I think that's kind of what we're dealing with the Venus retrograde and the nodes of the moon being in the North Node being in Aries. You can go your own way, right? And the relationships and the patterns in relationships, the types of people that we're moving away from, but taking that wisdom of that experience, of what we've learned about others, what we've learned about relationships, what we've learned about ourselves, right? Because people are our mirror in relationship. How do we see ourselves other than how we can observe the way we react when in relationship with others? Where do we stand in relationship to others? What else can we say about this? Influences of the 13th Hindu moon mansion, Savati. A mutable asterism belonging to the butcher caste and favorable for commencing work of an impermanent or moving character. Huh. That's interesting. Don't think of that in literal terms. Think of that in abstract or allegorical terms. Those born on the lunar day will be weak, abstemious, meaning abstaining, skillful, fond of animals, and changeable in friendship. With the moon here at birth, the native will be quiet, polite, self-controlled, skillful, kind-hearted, and charitable. Rules rice fields and the breast. Well, so in Vedic astrology, we have to understand that we look at the sun, right? We are Western, left brain, exoteric, external, and solar. So that's yang. This is coming from a lunar culture, which is esoteric, right-brained, intuitive, etc. But the moon is here right now, so we can think about it in those terms. All right, what else do I want to say about this? So let's see. If you have the sun here, success through slow and patient prodding, friends among clergy, favorable for gain and for dealing with the public and lawyers. With the moon, new friends, business success, good judgment, domestic harmony, If with Mars, also danger of death by suffocation. This is ancient astrology. So death by suffocation, if I think about that in not literal terms, but like someone dying and withering on the vine for lack of being able to breathe, and what comes with breathing but speaking. Express, to express the air out of your lungs. So, see, it's not always literal. With Mercury, sober, industrious, popular, inclined to be religious, somewhat extravagant, but well off, help through friends, holds position of trust in large company or corporations. That's the influence of the constellation of Boots. Boots is the bear warden. Um, it's known for managing other people's resources. You could think of it as like the butler, the chief household servant, or someone who is custodial in nature in a financial sense. Or this could also relate to um, custodial arrangements such as conservatorship. So that's interesting. Or receives promotion under direction favorable for health and domestic affairs with Venus in this position. Popular, gifts and favors from friends, some false friends of own sex. All right. I think I'm done with that. Well, one more, because Mars is actually going to go to this position of the South Node. It's moving towards it. It's in Virgo right now, but I don't know. I think it's a month and a half it'll be there. Could be October. So that will be significant when Mars conjuncts the South Node. So let's talk about that. With Mars, popular, many friends, considerable gain, but does not save owing to extravagance. If in the first, seventh, ninth, or tenth or 11th houses, and the moon is at the same time with Pollux. Pollux is in Gemini somewhere, I think. Danger of death by suffocation. Again, this thing of death by suffocation. That's creepy. Wonder how that will fit into my true crime analysis. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? Oh, I don't know. What's going on in the YouTube chat? Anything going along? Nish. Nish is single-handedly holding down the chat. You're probably the only one listening right now, and I've been yammering on, preaching to Nish for almost 45 minutes. Thank you, girl. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who supports my work. As many of you know, it has been kind of a struggle for me getting the visibility and feeling supported, but that's like a lifelong thing for me. It comes up a lot for me. Feeling kind of, I don't know, like with the lack of support. It's just, it is an ongoing theme. It's my ish, and I'm like working through it, The fact that I know about it helps me not to projectile vomit onto other people. Anyway, that is actually Saturn in my first house in Aries, which is difficulty asserting oneself, right? Square my sun and my Mercury in the 10th house. So putting myself out there, it takes a lot of work. And Sun square Saturn people, you'll find we don't have a lot of energy. And I feel like it's not so much that I don't have the energy, it's just when I have the energy, I push forward and it's hard to gain momentum because there's always something, there's always some obstacle, there's always some drain on my energy. So Sun square Saturn people get drained. So don't pity me. I've learned to live with it. Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, what else can I say? I think y'all want to tune in tomorrow because I really like the Scorpio moon energy for going into the woo, and there's some stars in Scorpio that are absolutely fascinating and very, very deeply esoteric, and some of my favorites because it represents the path of the initiate and the tests that we go through in the course of our seeking. Anyway, before I jump off, is there anything else? Mercury is about to go retrograde. Whoop whoop. I know it's everybody's favorite time of year. And seriously, Mercury retrograde is on my Pluto. I'm not really sure what to say about that other than actually the first part of when at the end of July, when I was really being affected by um, Mars in Virgo and then Mercury in Virgo as they opposed Saturn. What frustration. I really felt like the end of July and through to the middle of August, I felt like when you squeeze a wet washcloth, it just squeeze every ounce. It just tried every last nerve in my body until I did finally lose my shit. Um, and I'm very, I'm pretty like self-controlled person, but I have my fucking limits, bro. And somebody just it was just it was a thing I was observing, and I just couldn't hold my tongue any longer. And when I don't burn bridges. I blow them up so that it is BBR, burn beyond recognition. And honestly, I think I do that because I don't want that person coming back in. I don't want the fake, I'm sorry, or let's just ignore that tension wasn't there and that I didn't just say that to you and you didn't just call me out or you didn't catch me in a lie, you didn't catch me in my narcissism. I have no tolerance. And so it was a situation where I just felt like I know a lot of people were really under a lot of stress during Mercury going through Virgo, where we really want to be. I just wanted to keep my head down, do my work, do my thing, focus on me, really very productive in terms of my personal stuff, laying on my inner stuff and my inner alchemy and being self-aware and observing myself with the Leo stuff and Venus retrograding. And it was all that beautiful stuff. But then it was, you know, and I will cop to this because I have a lot of Virgo planets. Virgo is fucking judgy AF, and projects all over the place. Um, I'm not talking about Virgo people, but just Virgo energy in general because it is reflecting onto Pisces. And the Pisces mirror is infinite. So, because I have Pisces rising, and Neptune is on my ascendant roughly. Uh transiting right now, and I have Chiron there. So I know what it feels like when people are projecting their shit onto me. There's a myriad of ways that it plays out. And so I've tried to become aware of when I am projecting my stuff. I know what my stuff is, like I really know myself by now. Pretty proud of it, actually. And I don't have a problem saying, ugh, that's my icky stuff. and I'm judging that person and I'm looking at them and I'm just, ugh, like I'm just disgusted. But what am I disgusted with? I'm disgusted with a behavior that, one, I have the potential for, and I have perpetrated such acts in the past. Yes, so true. Um, but I'm not really better, but it still bothers me, right? And then I get projected onto also. I get judged constantly, which is maybe why I don't get the engagement on social media that that I probably deserve and um, am seeking. Yeah, I'm seeking attention. Fuck you all. I am. See, I can admit it. But it's not because I just want to feel good about myself. It's because I feel good about myself and I want to be appreciated for who I am because I feel very misunderstood. But that's the Pisces shit, right? People look at me and think, whatever they think, fuck them, right? But I know when I'm being judged and I know when I'm being projected on because that has been part of my journey. So, um, anyway, my Virgo thing with Mars and Virgo, Mars attacking, and Mercury. Mercury calling out the details and speaking the truth, or observing a situation and saying, oh, I get it now. Damn, I didn't get it before. Um, because the sun has been making an inconjunct to Neptune, it's been peeking around the corner and seeing the shadow that is being hidden with Neptune in Pisces. Now, Mars is approaching Neptune. Mars is at 26 and change. Neptune is at 27 and change. So Mars is really about to call the shit out for what it is, and a lot of things will be exposed. But Mercury is going to go retrograde, so we're going to be rehashing and reevaluating the details and the analysis of situations and people and our work, our our purpose of when it comes to service and helping others and healing, as well as, the whole, day-to-day routines BS that Virgo also represents. But if you're an earth sign, it's a great thing. Like you may have felt like there's been a lot on your plate, there's been a lot of things that need our attention or opportunities, and it's all very precise and very detailed, so we can get a little overwhelmed sometimes. Also, the OCD, nitpickiness, and perfectionism. Don't forget that with Virgo. And health concerns. And we're not going to go into that today because I think, anyway, most people know if you're paying attention to what's being floated out there in the news, it's coming. But I think that that will be in Libra season. We're being prepped. We're being lubed for the next phase of bend over and take it up the exit. But you know what? We're not going to take it. And we have more people on our side because more people get it now. So, I just don't think it's going to work this time. I think they're going to try, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see. Anyway, boo, boo, boo. Yep. Anyway, that is it for today, August 21st, on the cusp, on the verge of Virgo season. Bye-bye, Leo. We're going to miss you. But we still have Venus in Leo, so that's kind of fun. Um, Yeah, okay. So remember that today, the 21st, 8/21, 2023 adds up to a 9. Today is the ending of a 9-day progression. And as you know, I do love my numbers. And tomorrow starts another energetic cycle. So whatever has been building, speaking of which, Mars is conjunct. I didn't really go into the asteroids too much, but Mars is conjunct Sisyphus. Sisyphus. Fruitless efforts. Anyone? Pushing a boulder up a hill? Anyone? An asteroid which is new on the list, Kagara. That relates to Nigeria, if you're interested in global politics. And Mercury. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I did have a few things in my notes. I'll go over this quick before I bounce. Venus retrograde is conjunct Siva, which is another version of Siwa, which is also Shiva energy. And Hecate in both in Leo, Siva at 14 and Hecate at 12. Now, Venus is at 15, 16, moving back towards 15. And I guess we'll talk about this tomorrow because this is part of the esoteric stuff, the deep darkies that I was seeing here. Venus conjunct Hecate. That's dark shit. And we had Venus conjunct Lilith early on, back a few weeks, and that was some dark shit coming up too, shadow stuff. But Hecate, we'll have to talk more about her tomorrow. This is something to put on your calendar and just to give you a heads up what is happening. I feel this to be, without the obvious reference to the crossroads and the triple-faced goddess, Mother, Maiden, and Crone. Hecate, in its darkest sense, is curses and spells. So psychic attacks might be something that we want to think about. And not to be paranoid of, but just to understand and educate ourselves as to how that plays out and when to know when you're under attack. You know what? During certain times and certain alignments, we're all under attack. This is an energy wave that the dark forces and dark people just ride. It doesn't mean that we can't use it for our own benefit. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's all in the intention. So around the 25th, towards the end of the week, we are really going to talk about this because that's when Hecate will be conjuncting Venus. And on a positive note, in our relationships, in our values, our self-worth, our finances, we can be at a crossroads. And when we are in that space, there is no time and space. It does not matter past, present, or future. What matters is the now, and the now can change the past, which can change the future. How does that work? Well, you got to wrap your mind around that. We can reframe our past, right? The story that we tell ourselves about the past. And all this is square to Jupiter, so it's just exacerbating the situation. It makes it seem bigger. But that's an interesting thing to note that's coming up. Any other asteroids that we want to talk about in Libra? I mentioned Hopi, Cassandra, elatus, which you can look at the etymology of the words elated, or you could go and look up the myth of Elatus or elatus. Narcissus, Haumea. I will talk about the Scorpio stuff tomorrow because there's something I want to go into with the Polynesian legends and myths regarding ghosts. So there's a little teaser for you. We could be talking about that tomorrow. Oh, Isis. Okay. Mars. Mars conjunct Sisyphus, Kagara, Isis. Isis is at the very end of Virgo. All right, I think that wraps it up. Oh, wait. One more thing. Oh, yeah, Hecate. When Venus conjuncts Hecate, it will also conjunct Apophis. Apophis is the destroyer. That's an Egyptian. That's from Egyptian mythology. So we'll have to go into that tomorrow because I'm running out of time here. I got things to do. I got projects, yo. Oh, Lynn, you're here. You're not late. You're not late. Did you hear me say there's no time and space, past, present, and future all converge in the now? You can rewind. It's gonna when I bump off, it'll be oh, I kept it to an hour. Whoop whoop. I am so proud of myself. But thank you, Lynn. Lynn at, right? That's right. Perfect timing. I always say the party starts when I get there. That's like a Schrodinger cat sort of reference. There is no party until I observe it. All right, you guys. Lynn, I'm so sorry. But if you didn't miss, you probably, no, just Lynn, not Lynn at. Okay, maybe am I mistaking you for one of my friends on Instagram, which is, I thought it was Lynette, but maybe not. I don't know. Are you on Instagram? Yeah, Lynn, E.T. Nish, you guys know one another. Aw, it's a party now. When two or more are gathered, and three is never a crowd. Past, present, and future, we are representing Hecate. I love it. I love the triangulation. This is awesome. Okay, so I am going to wrap it up, but if you missed the intro, what I'm doing now. I have, let's see, how do I put this? You know, sometimes your energies get really scattered and you just have to pull it all back home. I am just doing my YouTube. I'm not doing e-talk. I'm doing my YouTube stuff. So Sundays, you can catch me around noonish. Noon is usually a good time for me, between 11 and noon. I'm trying to be consistent. Bear with me. But if you're subscribed and you got that little bell, if you're ringing my bell, then you'll know when I go live. But generally speaking, my weekly thing is going to be on Sundays, and that's when I'm going to be doing a lot of my call-in stuff. I have a call-in number. It's 914-222-1231, and that's an actual number. I don't have it on right now. It's a Google Voice. I don't have it on right now. So you can text me, you can call me, you can leave messages. It's on Do Not Disturb, but you can leave me a message. So if you are interested in booking a reading, that's one way to do it. You could text or whatever. It shows up, in my messages. And I also have the email. You can email me at astrolunachick@gmail.com. But I love the many different ways and things that make it easier for me to interface and connect with people. Because who knows what's going to happen with social media? I'm not going to scan my face, fucker. I'm just not going to do it. So you can eat shit. I will find another way. I'm very sad about it, but it's whatever. We humans are adaptable. And so I have been checking out other forms of social media like MeWe and Truth Social and Minds, but I'm not impressed, not really. And with the stuff that I want to talk about, and I have no filter, who knows how long I'll be on YouTube, but I do have a Rumble channel. So definitely subscribe to that and follow me there. I have a gilded chat. I usually put the invites, the link, because the gilded chat, it's an app. It's sort of like Discord, but I like it better. Gilded, I like the Leo reference. I like the gold theme. Discord never felt right to me because who wants Discord? I'm not trying to have drama in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, I usually post those links and all my links to socials in my descriptions on my videos. So, again, the live stuff usually is going to be on Sunday if I'm taking calls. And then I'm going to do pop ups. I'm going to do random flash mobs of one. But you could join me, like a flash mob. During the week as I see fit and as I am inspired and as I have time. And hopefully, I thought that that would make things less wordy. I had a 2 hour, pre-recorded my show on Sunday, 2 hour show. For someone in my teens who people asked, does she talk? Being the introvert that I am. When I get going, it's like really hard to stop. So I invite you all to check things out on Sundays. That'll be around 12 o'clock because 2 o'clock, I was doing 2 o'clock lives on eTalk. Plus, I was trying to stream to YouTube. Plus, I was trying to figure out how, I, my audio stuff, an audio mixer, blah, 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 learning curve. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep it simple and keep to myself and not play in anybody else's field for a while and uh, consolidate my energy and stoke the fires of my chi. Doesn't that sound sexy? I am working on my solar plexus. Yes, I am. So, that's where you'll find me. And yes, I'll be here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And I don't know, like I'm like super flexy. I could take calls during the week if and I want to. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. And yeah, so noonish is a good time for me. 11, between 11 and 1. I'll try to be consistent. I'll try to have a time slot because I know like it's hard, but people expect you to show up like a fucking job. Like I avoid that shit. I really do. I'm all about the spontaneity and I find that when I don't have to be anywhere at any certain time, that's when I am my most inspired and creative. So I'm working on that. And so yeah, I'm on the East Coast, so it's Eastern time zone. If you're on the Pacific side, you're 3 hours earlier than me. Hopefully you're up by about 9, 10 o'clock. I'm a late riser. I don't judge. So, input, if people have input, I am here for you guys. I am here to serve. I live to serve. It's my pleasure. And, if you're not getting anything out of it, like, why bother? I could sit here and, like, navel gaze and jerk off to astrology all day long. But if there's nobody watching, if there's nobody participating, it gets kind of boring. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, my purpose is to help and heal and serve. So I'm getting back to that. I'm doing what's good for me, what works for me. eTalk was great. It's just not working for me. That's all. That's all. And who knows? I might do it again in the future. But I want to build my channel. I want to build my brand, so to speak. I am rebranding also. I mean, that's the Venus retrograde here. And we're in the second phase of it. So I'm totally here for it. All right, my sisters. Thank you. Thank you guys for holding up the chat room. Lynn and Nish. You're my superstars, babes. I love it. Okay, it's so hard to say goodbye. So I'm just going to say ciao for now.